What is going on, guys and girls? It is GhostRobo, and I want to find out what the one game to rule them all over the next 6 months is. And we're going to do that in podcast form. Haven't done one of these in quite some time. I've been on the road a lot, traveling all over, just having a tough time scheduling stuff. But alas, we're back in the booth, and we're back talking about good old games. I've got a lot to cover. I was at PAX. I played a bunch of stuff there. I had specific meetings with a lot of companies, Nintendo, 2K. Just a lot of stuff has gone down in the recent weeks, and there's a lot more coming up. We've got fall gaming, more events, a lot of good stuff, and I'm actually going to start making these podcasts as regular as I can and lining up more guests. It's fun to do it alone. I like talking to you guys straight ear to mouth, mouth to ear. That sounds really weird, but it's also fun when we have more people. So I'm going to be bringing in a variety of guests and talking about all the latest, because we're at that time of year where everything's supposed to come out. But this year, I feel like I don't even know what like the major big stuff is. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. I wanted to open the show with two games that really kind of are at the forefront of everybody's mind right now, and that's Destiny and Smash Brothers. We'll start with Destiny, just because that's the big kahuna. And I'm going to do a full review. I'm playing much more of the game. I've got a lot of content coming, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But I just want to kind of give my early take on the final version. It's basically, the first few hours are the same as the beta. So I've played through the first few hours like 3 or 4 times now. And my takeaway from Destiny at this point, just sort of broad spectrum, is that I really love the mechanics. I love the way it feels. I love the way it plays. I love the way I shoot stuff. I love the satisfaction of headshots. I love the interplay between grenades, melee, and guns. Like that Holy Trinity, I think is it's put in place superbly. The hand cannons have surprised me so much. Getting one-shot headshot kills with the pistol is fantastic. You know it's a good Bungie game because they got the good pistol in there. And other than that, all the other stuff kind of leaves me wanting more, whether it's the story, the environments, the enemies, the bosses. I find it's not that it falls flat, because I think Destiny is a very fun game. I just think that it doesn't do anything special. It doesn't do anything exceptionally well, except the core mechanics, which is crucial, because without those core mechanics, I think this game would have bombed. We've seen some low review scores, some high review scores, 6s, 7s, 8s. Right now it's sitting in Metacritic about a 74, which honestly is where I thought it would fall. And I'd love to hear sort of like a post-mortem on this game when all is said and done, kind of talking about where it went from this magical vision to sort of a more mediocre reality. If that was a lot due to, Activision wanting them to be cross-gen, if that was due to just their vision being unattainable at the current place in time, or maybe this is their vision, and I just find it not what I would have done. I mean, I think there's some design choices, like specifically just things about that the bosses require legit 20 minutes of holding right trigger, that many of the enemies don't even have defining characteristics, that the environments on the planets are all basically abandoned warehouses. There's just some things that, design-wise, I feel are just what? And granted, I'm no game developer, but it confuses me a bit, and stuff like only one ability for a game that's trying to, promote itself as an MMO RPG shooter hybrid. You have one special ability, and it'd be so cool if you had more of those, because I love seeing the character in third person. That's the highlight of the game for me, is when you get to use the golden gun, the blade dancing, the warlock's big epic blast, the titan's big epic smash. That stuff is so cool, and more of that would have really distinguished Destiny, because right now the thing that distinguishes Destiny is the talk about Destiny. I don't know if there's anything within the game that really stands out. You don't really have many set pieces. The planets don't really feel different. That being said, it's a lot of fun. I'm wanting to play more. I know I'll hit the level cap. I know I'll be looking to make my character awesome. And so they've done their job from a core mechanic standpoint. I just think that the other stuff, the frosting, if you want to call it, or even some of the meat and potatoes. I mean, sure, the controls and the mechanics are the very core, but around that, you have other layers that are almost equally as important. And I just feel like a lot of that, It's not where I want it to be. We'll get into much more of that later. I still have fun with Destiny. I think it's a worthwhile pickup, and I'm going to be playing a lot more. So don't don't feel like I'm hating on Destiny because I am probably playing it as you're listening to this. The next one is Super Smash Bros. 3DS. That game, I got to play a final build at PAX. I was super lucky to go to a special Nintendo event that was very, very limited and play the final build. And I got to try out majority of the characters. They didn't have Bowser Jr., who I was so hoping for, but it was either a final build or near final build because it had all the stuff in it: Smash Run, Classic Mode, the mini games. I got to play Shulk, I got to play Pac-Man, I got to play Robin, I got to play everybody that I wanted to try out, and I just like that game. I think the variety is so fun, and they do such a nice job of giving you a huge plethora of stages that all look different, feel different. All the stages were unlocked, or at least the ones I have heard of. Those are really cool. Just, it looks good and plays good on 3DS. Is that the ideal platform? No, I think that it's going to be inevitably much better on Wii U, and that's where I'm looking forward to playing it most. But it's very, very beyond competent on 3DS, and surprisingly so for a system that can feel cramped, for a system that has one analog stick, for a system that doesn't necessarily have the best graphics output. It looks good, it plays good, it runs good, and I really like it. Today I played the actual 3DS demo in my own house, and I still feel the same way. I really like it. I don't feel like you're looking at miniature versions of the characters and it's too small. I don't feel like, it's sort of a Me Too little brother port. I think it's a very, very good version of the game. I wonder why it's not coming out alongside the Wii U or post Wii U. I hope they have something to hype up the Wii U version. I think pushing system sales for Wii U is critical at this point in time, because they're clearly committed to it, at least for the next few years or a couple of years. And if you put it out first on Wii U, everyone that doesn't have a Wii U would buy a Wii U. You don't really need this word of mouth from the 3DS version to sell Smash Brothers. You basically tell people it's Nintendo characters fighting multiplayer, go, and they'll open their wallets and buy it. That's kind of how Smash Brothers is. It's a very well-known quantity, and I'm surprised that it didn't release at the same time or the Wii U first. But my hope out of this is that we luck out and get some characters exclusive to the Wii U version, which that would be so epic. And they could put them back on the 3DS as DLC, and so they'd be identical and no problems there. But guys I've heard rumors of are Dixie Kong, Ridley, Chorus Man. I'm still in my wildest of dreams hoping for King K. Rool, but it'll probably be more like Ice Climbers or someone along those lines. Smash Brothers is an interesting quantity. I was trying to think of, would this be a Game of the Year contender? And I think I have to wait and see how my multiplayer interactions are and how long it sort of lasts. This is the fourth time around for this game. And while it is very different, in terms of roster and items and move sets and some things they're doing, does it have enough juice in the tank, basically, to last another entire life cycle of many plays? And if Mario Kart 8 is any indication, then yes, it does. Because Mario Kart 8 is freaking fantastic. That's definitely up there for Game of the Year right now. I love it. I can't wait for the DLC. Mario Kart 8 DLC has climbed into one of my most anticipated things of the fall season. That pack coming out in November is just like everything I want. New courses, new characters, new vehicles. I obsessively play that game, and so adding 8 new courses in November and 8 more in May, I think is going to be just amazing. It's a bit curious that they're spacing them out so far, but I guess it adds the longevity of the game. They sure need you to stay playing something when they don't have releases. But Nintendo is sort of coming along strong, I feel, right now. You got Smash Brothers, has so much hype for 3DS. You'll have Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors, Smash Brothers for Wii U, Captain Toad. There's a good slew of things coming, and in a fall season when there's not a crap ton of big mega hits, it's kind of okay that they don't have Zelda, because Microsoft doesn't have a new Halo and Sony doesn't have a new Uncharted, and there's no new God of War, and Quantum Break is pushed back, and Evolve is pushed back, and Batman is way pushed back. I mean, let's touch on that for a second. Batman could have taken the crown as my one game to rule them all, but it's now delayed to June, which I think is insane. I think it's a bit offensive, to be honest with you. They announced this game a long while back. They had a pre-order date. People pre-ordered. They said it was coming out this October. It doesn't come out this October. Then it's rumored to be out early next year, January, February. Everyone thinks that's a sure deal. And now it's coming out June 2nd. And I think for people that pre-ordered this game in March of 2014 to then have the game release June 2015, it's just a bit of a slap in the face. I know that all this is about securing pre-orders and swallowing dollars, but come on. I mean, sure, delays happen. Stuff goes down. I still think it's a bit silly that we're experiencing what almost amounts to a year delay for Batman Arkham Knight. I'm really excited for that game. I don't want to resent it, but I am a bit bitter. I think you set yourself up to need even more of an impressive opener to really, to justify the delay. It has to be very, very good. And I'm sure it will be very, very good, but will it be very, very good? That is the question. So that's kind of outside of our 6-month radar. So we'll swap that aside for now, and my tears will build a pool for me to swim in as we run out of warm days here in the Midwest. I got to talk about Evolve. Evolve is a game that I feel it's very hard to convey the true emotion of playing it through verbiage. I think it gives you about 75%, but that last 25% you can't possibly feel until you play it. And I had the opportunity to play a bunch of it. I've played that game now for, probably, I don't know, close to 10 hours, which is a lot for a game like that. At PAX Prime, I played a bunch more of it up on the big screen. Those matches are so intense and so fun. When you get commentators, it just gets so exciting. It's like my video game dreams come true. I'm like, I'm good at the game. It's a super fun game. People are commenting. They're saying my name. It's just, I don't know. It's a really surreal experience and one I'm super, grateful for. And let's be clear here. Evolve does not sponsor me in any way. There's no sponsorship, no money exchanging hands, nothing of that sort. I genuinely just think this game is freaking awesome. And why I think it's so awesome, I've stated it before. I made a lot of videos, and I'm continuing to make videos because I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough talking about it. It's one of those games that's just in your mind. What I think it does most best, besides the teamwork aspect, which is so crucial, is that I think it executes a new idea. You look at the majority of the games coming out in the next 6 months. We're talking stuff like Destiny. We're talking stuff like Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, Super Smash Bros. Wii U, The Order 1886, Bloodborne, even games like that. They're all basically iterations on a familiar genre and or franchise. Evolve seems like that on the surface, but it is different. The interaction between the monsters and the hunters is just, it's a special battle. And I feel like what that game tasks you with doing has not really been done to this extent at all before. A monster going out and hunting wildlife. It's such a simple concept. It's like the monster movie concept, and yet it hasn't really been executed, whether that's because of lack of passion, lack of design chops, lack of processing power. We're getting it now, and it's great. It's a game that I'm so excited to see new reveals, modes, monsters, maps, hunters. I don't have that much investment except with Super Smash Brothers. And I was thinking about why do I get so excited over new Smash Bros. Characters? Why am I getting so excited over Evolve characters, which basically the monsters and hunters are characters? And I think it's because the mechanics of the game are so fun and so solid that you're excited to see how a new character and a new moveset will affect the world. And Evolve takes that even a step further because Smash Brothers exists on a 2D plane, and sure, you're doing attacks, but there's something much more visceral about controlling a monster and feeling like you're moving his arms and legs and gnashing your way through these maps as you try to bite off the heads of all of your opponents. And so what the next monster is going to be, there's so much gameplay and mechanic, like controls around each character, right? So when you play Pac-Man in the new Super Smash Brothers, when you play Villager, when you play Pikachu, they control very differently while adhering to the same fighting game Smash Bros. Theme, right? So you're excited to play them because you want to see how their take on this system of mechanics will work out and how you'll like it. And that's kind of the same thing with Evolve, except even more so because it exists in a big 3D space, and there's a lot you can do and attacks that you're leveling up, and it's a more complicated system. So when the new hunters get revealed, when the new monsters, their skills and stuff intrigue me so much because the mechanics that they've laid down are so spectacular and so much fun. And so I'm eager to see how a new character will tackle those mechanics. It's why a game like Super Mario 3D World can give Toad a little more speed, give Peach a little more hover, and have it be meaningful, because the baseline mechanics, the fundamentals of gameplay are really fun and really solid, and they knock it out of the park. And so these games really wrap me up in their reveals because I'm so excited to find out what the next character is like, what they hold, and how their movesets will manifest within the game world and how it will affect the mechanics. Evolve is just, absolutely fantastic. We've seen very little of the game, honestly. 2 monsters, 2 sets of hunters, and 3 maps. There's a lot more to be shown, and they're talking already big DLC plans. I think that's a game that, handled right, can have a very long life, and I sure hope it has a tournament scene. I would love to be involved in that. I think it would be fantastic. It's great to feel good at a game, and that, of course, enhances my enjoyment of it, but even if I wasn't so good at it, the concepts and the way that it plays just blow me away. I do have some concerns over its ability to wrap in brand new players, because if you don't have a group, I think you lose out on a lot of what that game is about. Playing with friends, communicating, telling each other where to go, understanding what each other is trying to do is so critical. If you were playing in total silence, I feel like it would not be as fun. You can be the monster by yourself, and that's enjoyable. Wrecking people is always a good time. But from the hunter side of things, this is a game that lone wolfing, I feel like, if you were going to break this down, I think the review score with friends and without friends might be different. Like maybe Evolve gets a 9.5 with friends and gets a 7 without friends, because it just is that. It's a multiplayer only game. It's very focused on that. But not only is it a multiplayer only game, it's so crucial to have coordination of teamwork, not only for success within the mission, but also to build up that feel and the intensity and that movie magic. Like, it's got to be there. And so I do have some concerns over how they're going to establish that once we're all back in our own homes and not playing at events. And like, I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people that are going to play the game, but if I didn't, or if you don't, then where is that going to stack up? And we'll have to wait for more stuff in the game to see. Perhaps they'll introduce modes that really allow you to play more independently, and that sort of takes care of that problem. For now, though, like, Evolve is definitely a front runner for the game that has me the most excited over the next 6 months. Another game that is really great, and I'm going to go in more depth later on this one, probably in its own video because it deserves it, is Bloodborne. I had the opportunity to play Bloodborne at PAX Prime. It was the one game I wanted to make sure I got to and waited in line for, and it was worth it. I love Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls 2, and this game is, I think, at least from what I know thus far, saying it's an evolution of Dark Souls is a little bit much. It's more of a sequel. If you told me this was Dark Souls 3, that would make perfect sense to me. It definitely is a much more offensive game. It's definitely focused much more on being aggressive and utilizing your offensive abilities to your advantage. And the main way in the demo that transpired is that if you take damage, your meter will go down, sort of like in a fighting game. It'll go down, instead of depleting, it'll go down yellow. And then if you attack and deal damage quickly enough, you can regain some of that health back. And so there's this constant push to be the aggressor, which is different for Dark Souls. I don't think it makes the game feel totally different. It is interesting to not be focusing on blocking and strafing and more on rolling and striking. Like, that was cool and changes things up. And I guess it's good, because playing through another Dark Souls so soon would maybe dilute some of the charm. Bloodborne, it looks beautiful. It's gorgeous on PS4. I played through the demo that everyone has seen probably now, so at this point, but it's in a gothic area. It's hard for me to tell, like, is the entire game going to be this theme, or is it going to be more Dark Souls style where you have, vastly different lands and areas? I'm guessing it's going to be that, but this first environment looks fantastic. I was able to get through the entire demo, and I'll go into more specifics, like I said, at a later time. There's little intricacies that I want to talk about with really hardcore fans, but it's a beautiful game. I think it's a nice grab for Sony. I don't think it's an exclusive that's going to really, totally move units. For some people it will, but it's not like that sort of wrecking ball type game, and I don't think the name does it any favors. I don't think most people will know what Bloodborne is, or have any concept. Like, if you didn't play Dark Souls, I mean, maybe you'll hear about it if you're a hardcore gamer, but I wonder if there's a way they could have called it Beast Souls, and had that be much more of a recognizable face on a store shelf space, because people would be able to identify more that this is this kind of game and I want to play it. It looks really cool, and it's a PS4 exclusive, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It controlled well. The boss was fun. I was very proud to beat the boss and clear out the demo. It took me 2 tries, but it was worth it. And they have this really cool system. The last thing I'll mention is where if you shoot a character, because you have a shotgun in this demo, right when they're about to attack you, you can initiate what basically is replacing a parry kind of, and do this like super move that stuns them and then deals massive damage, super satisfying. Bloodborne is up there as one of my top games in the next 6 months as well. And I think the other game that would really be up there is Assassin's Creed Unity, but I have not played that, and Ubisoft is very close to the chest with their AC franchise, so there was no demo at PAX. I don't think I'll probably play it until it launches. I still have extremely high hopes for that, possibly too high of hopes, and that is not only because I'm eager for an Assassin's Creed game to really win me over again, but also because this fall has become increasingly dry, and there still are a lot of games, and there's still a lot of variety, and it's still going to be a great fun fall, but there aren't as many heavy hitters as I want, or as probably most people are thinking. If you look at it, we've got Destiny, which is now already out. We've got Assassin's Creed Unity, which is, fingers crossed, going to be spectacular. We've got Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. We've got Far Cry 4. And beyond that, I don't know that there's anything else of a super crazy caliber. There's games I'm looking forward to playing: Dragon Age 3, Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor, Lords of the Fallen. But with Batman, with Evolve, with Witcher, with The Order, with all of these games bumping out of 2014, they left a lot of holes. And I'm going to play a ton of NBA 2K15. I'm going to play a bunch of a lot of the games I've mentioned, and more Destiny. Advanced Warfare, I think, is now in a prime spot to really succeed because there's so few multiplayer options this fall. You don't really have a lot coming out that you can glom onto. If you're not, so hardcore into Destiny, you're going to be playing Advanced Warfare, and it's in a nice spot. Ghosts are left a sour taste in most people's mouth. That's fine. I think Advanced Warfare wins people back over and puts that franchise back on the map. I've heard very good things about it, and I personally am super excited to play it. But there's other stuff like The Evil Within, Alien Isolation, the Master Chief Collection, stuff that a lot of people are going to get excited about. I just don't think any of them are of the caliber that we typically expect from big fall mega releases, and that's fine. You don't have to have that, but look at what's getting slotted in. Grand Theft Auto 5 now coming out in November. You've got your yearly Skylanders, you've got Disney Infinity, just stuff that I think will be fun. I'm going to enjoy, but you get what I'm saying? There's just not a whole lot of oh my God, event games. Batman Arkham Knight would be that. Next Gen Batman would be that. I think Evolve would be that. Multiplayer madness, monsters all over the place. I think that a game like Quantum Break would have a chance to be that if it was marketed right. I think a game, obviously Uncharted or Zelda or a new Halo would be that. Master Chief Collection is close, but for me, I don't have a whole lot of nostalgia in those older Halo games, so I'm kind of I'll play it and I'll enjoy it, but it's not something I'm I circle on the calendar and can't wait to get to. I'm curious what you guys, if there are any games that you guys can't wait to get to. Let me know in the comments below what game you can't wait to get to, or what your one game to rule them all for the next 6 months is. Thinking about what mine is really made me just realize that there's not as many options as I would like to think. And sure, some games will surprise us, but I can tell you that the fall is crowded, but it's crowded with a lot of mid-tier stuff, and there aren't a ton of really major games, at least from my perspective. And Destiny, comes out at a great time because it has basically, a month and a half to 2 months to kind of own the space before we get into, the Advanced Warfares, the Smash Brothers, stuff like that. It really kind of exists in its own. It has a huge window to be very, very profitable for them. And right on. They invested a bunch into that game, and it's going to sell like crazy. A couple other touches from PAX. I played 2 indie games, Below and Galaxy, which are games that have gotten a lot of hype. Below is from Cappy Games, and it's sort of like a rogue-like Dark Souls-esque top-down game. To be honest, I didn't get the hype for either of them. I played both of them and didn't like them. Maybe it was the environment, maybe it was the short time I played with it. But I was pretty wow, I don't understand why people are so hyped on this, to be honest with you. It's weird. Indie games are in a weird space. That's a discussion for a whole nother day. But I also played I think it's just called the Game 4 from the Behemoth. That was a lot of fun. It's basically the Behemoth, if you don't know or don't remember, are the guys who did Castle Crashers and Alien Hominid, and more recently Battle Block Theater, which I didn't really like. But I really like Castle Crashers, and yeah. So this game is basically a turn-based strategy game, but in the Behemoth style with not a lot of choices. And at first that sounds like it's going to be bland and boring, but it's actually very clever and cool. And I think they're utilizing their art style and their charm and their humor in really effective ways. It doesn't come off as overboard. It doesn't come off as lame. It came off really funny and really cool. And so basically you're moving characters around on a grid and letting them attack. You're not picking like, oh, this attack or that magic. They have range attack and a up close attack, and so you'll put them where you want to put them, press the button, and they will sort of activate their stuff. So on one hand, it's kind of like beginner's first strategy RPG. On the other hand, there are a lot of quirks and different things. You can get different weapons, and my guy was trading out two like big butcher knives for bananas, and you can just make your characters look crazy, mustaches and hair and onesies and outfits, and it's madness. You can also collect a lot of characters to use in battle, and it looked like eventually capture enemy characters, which is pretty sweet. So you'll be building up this army and going on these fights, and they look to get much more complex, and I wonder how that game will escalate as you continue, because the about 20-30 minute demo I played was really fun, but really easy, and I wonder where that game goes beyond the first hour. If they are committed to making it sort of a non-complicated RPG, but do they have enough to keep me really interested? And surprisingly, a game that does have me interested on the surface looks very cheesy and kiddie is Costume Quest 2 from Double Fine. I really like Costume Quest 1. I don't know why. I've kind of veered away from sort of the traditional JRPG turn-based fighter over the last few years, but Costume Quest was really enjoyable for me. I think just because of the visual, it just has like a really sweet quality to it. And Costume Quest 2, I didn't play it, but I saw it at PAX. It looks great. I didn't need to play it. I'm going to play it when it releases. It's kind of a game to just cuddle up to in the winter and enjoy and find the new costumes and collect stuff and do battles. Costume Quest 1 struck a perfect balance between being in-depth enough, but not too crazy that you had to like focus all of your energies. And I hope that's what the game 4 from Behemoth can do, because that's one to look out for. I think it's Xbox One and PC. That's for the Behemoth's game. Costume Quest 2, I'm not sure. I think it's coming to everything. But that was sort of my PAX adventure. I played Captain Toad again. I'm very excited for that. I played Lords of the Fallen, Shadow of Mordor, but those require their own videos because they're very interesting. Quick little take. Lords of the Fallen and Shadow of Mordor are both really cool games. I'm looking forward to playing both. Lords of the Fallen strikes and scratches that Dark Souls, very in-depth, difficult, and just mechanic-driven gameplay that I love. And Shadow of Mordor is an Assassin's Creed-style game with a unique system of taking out all these different leaders and positioning your troops underneath them and betraying and like all this crazy stuff. I'm a bit concerned about the overall structure of that game, but I think if they have at least a few set piece moments and a few good story missions, that could be a sleeper hit for the fall season. So we're looking at the next few months, and typically this is the most exciting time for games, and I think it still is, but we're trending in an interesting direction where the early months of the year are in some ways the bigger, better game months. We saw this last year with BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us coming out mid-year. Nothing really surpassed either of those in my book towards the end of the year. And, this year we've had some cool stuff released, and I feel like it's just been a down year in general. It's the first full year of the consoles. They're getting really, everybody's getting adjusted to them, and we're settling into this new generation. So it's a little bit of a slow period. But we had games early on like Infamous and Mario Kart that were a lot of fun, and we have some games coming soon that are a lot of fun, but realistically, I believe the first half of 2015 is going to be the true fall of 2014. You look at some of those release lists, you've got Bloodborne, you've got The Order 1886, you've got Evolve, you've got The Witcher 3, you've got Dying Light. It's pretty packed, and there's a lot of good stuff, and many of those games, Batman comes out in June, I know, but still kind of first half. You've got Batman sort of occupying the E3 slot of being like the big game then, if they can pull it together, hopefully masterfully. But if you look at like Bloodborne and Witcher 3, and those are games that could, I think, definitely hold their own as major fall releases, and they're coming out early in the year, which is interesting. And then we know fall of next year is going to hold probably the legendary Triforce trio of Zelda, Halo, Uncharted, which is going to be epic. Quantum Break comes out next year. I'm not sure if that has any specific date, but when it does, I think that'll be a good one. I mean, I didn't even mention Sunset Overdrive, which is kind of sad because that game started off looking so cool, but I just wonder if Insomniac has played out. I mean, I know that's sort of a harsh thing to say, but I did not like that game when I played it. I haven't really heard many good things. A lot of people seem down on it, and after Fuse, I think if they have a bad game here, I think they lose kind of a rank. If you once considered them a high-ranking developer, I think they drop after this. I mean, Sucker Punch still stands strong with Infamous and First Light, both quality products, but I think Insomniac is kind of on the ropes. And you have to imagine a next-gen Ratchet is in the works, but I don't know how many people even really want that. Little Big Planet 3 is releasing. People will enjoy it, but to me, it's not a showstopper. Drive Club, Forza, yeah. Again, fans of the genre. But Mortal Kombat 10 is releasing the beginning of next year. That game is looking really good, and NetherRealm Studios has just been hitting it out of the park with their recent releases. It's interesting. You know, in some ways, I feel like the real holiday gaming season is going to be winter of 2015, not fall 2014, which is, you know, a little bit frustrating. Nonetheless, I'm excited for a lot of stuff. My top games that are still to be released this year are definitely Assassin's Creed Unity, Super Smash Brothers, the Mario Kart DLC, which I feel so bad for saying, but it's a sign of the times, and also a sign of how great Mario Kart is. And then let me pick one more. If we're looking at the lists here of what's coming out, I mean, I think NBA 2K15 is going to be great, but I feel like that's sort of a cheap one because it's a yearly release. I'm going to say Captain Toad because, heck, I love that game every time I play it. I think it's a very simple concept that is executed very, very well. Again, mechanic-driven gameplay is super successful. And I'll have Captain Toad tie with Lords of the Fallen because I'm excited to see how that final release plays and really get into sort of the character creation and the weapon system of that one. So lots of cool stuff. Don't worry. There's other things I didn't mention. Disney Infinity 2.0, Lego Batman 3, The Crew, Hyrule Warriors. I briefly mentioned some stuff coming out that I think will appeal, like I said, to a good chunk of people, just nothing glorious. So as we wrap up here and I think about what my one game to rule them all for the next 6 months is, I mean, many of you might already have guessed this, but I got to give it to Evolve. I really do. I think that game just stands apart as a true next-gen experience. Maybe it doesn't have the best graphics. Maybe it doesn't have the most multiplayer options. Maybe it doesn't have the most players involved in each encounter, but it does something different. It does it super well. It plays incredibly well. It shows incredibly well. It's fun to watch. It's fun to be a part of. And I think it's an event game that not only talks a lot of hype and people are hyping it, but it really backs it up. And we've seen a lot of titles this past year. Watch Dogs, Titanfall. It's funny that I didn't even mention Titanfall as a game that could possibly be one of the good games early this year. It's sad. Oh, so sad. Titanfall, Watch Dogs, Destiny really rode their roller coaster cars to the top of the tallest mountain. Like, take the dragster at Cedar Point and double it. That's where they started. And what happens when you're at the top of a peak? Where do you go from there? Down. And to me, that's what all three of those games did. So Evolve is playing it smart. It's kind of building hype in a reasonable fashion. It's building momentum for sure, but it's not doing it to an outlandish degree. And I hope that they keep that in check. And I hope that they progress powerfully forward and really move towards February's launch date with a lot of steam, a lot of forward momentum, and then blow people away with the final product. You don't want to take your train car too high. The only place you have to go from there is down. If there's one lesson that I think developers and publishers should learn this year, it's that if you hype your game to the heavens, you better deliver the second coming, because if not, you're doing a disservice to your fans and to your games. And I'll leave you guys with that thought. My one game to rule them all for the next 6 months is Evolve. I love it. You'll be seeing a lot of it, and I'm hoping to just find out what that third monster is super soon. I can't wait to hear the reveals. Like I mentioned throughout this show, you'll be getting more info on Lords of the Fallen. I've actually got my own gameplay against a boss of that, my own gameplay of Shadow of Mordor, and Bloodborne as well. So look forward to those in the coming days. Smash Brothers is right around the corner. I've been playing the 3DS demo, and I'm excited to get the full version soon. And I'm going to be bringing some guests on. We got some people lined up that will be coming to fill the other seats of this chair, these chairs, these virtual chairs, these imaginary chairs, their own chairs, but also the podcast chairs. And that should be a lot of fun as well. If you guys enjoy this show and like more of this long form content, please support it. Please hit that like button. Please leave a comment. It really does mean a lot. This is one of the longest videos that I make. It takes a lot of heart and effort, and also I end up drinking a lot of tea afterwards because my voice is gone, but it's worth it. I love it, and it's possibly the most fun I have in terms of videos that I make. So if you guys do enjoy it, let me know. That means a lot to me, and then we can try and make this a really regular thing with guests, which I think will be super fun. So thanks for listening. Evolve, you are my freaking love right now. I cannot wait for more of you, but we've got some good stuff on the horizon as well. AC Unity, please deliver. NBA 2K15, be fun as always. Smash Brothers, surprise me with some Wii U exclusives. Lords of the Fallen, Shadows of Mordor, fill in the gaps. Everything else, maybe we'll uncover some gems. But until that time, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your one game to rule them all over the next 6 months is. Till next time, thanks again for being awesome. As we approach 1 million, I'm ever grateful for all you guys do and all your support. It's freaking incredible. So drink some hot chocolate. Until next time, we will see you all later.